So in this video we're going to have a think about the TOK question, where we're looking at subjectivity being overly celebrated in the arts but unfairly condemned in history. So for this first video we're going to focus on the arts, and we're going to look at the work of Lange back in the Great Depression era. She produced a very good and interesting pieces of work, photography, on the Great Depression. So first of all, we are going to investigate the idea of objectivity versus subjectivity, and what we're probably going to realise is that both are important. It's not that one is more important than the other, but there's kind of a grey merging between the two. So let's have a think about subjectivity and interpretation. So interpretation plays a central role in the arts, as it underscores the subjectivity of art. It highlights that the individual perspectives and emotions shape how we understand and appreciate artistic work. So the arts are a realm where values are explored and portrayed, and the artist is inviting us to reflect on our cultural, moral and social dimensions in the piece of art. So far, if we take this definition, it's highly subjective. So subjectivity is often, as we said before, considered a fundamental part of artistic expression and creativity. So in the art, subjectivity allows us to convey the unique perspectives and emotions, and you can see that in this photograph of somebody that was a victim of the Great Depression in the United States of America. And so there we can see, through the number of photographs that we're going to look at, that these are deeply personal and they resonate with the audiences, hopefully at an individual level. We're trying to the artist is intending us to empathise with the people that have been put into this a difficult situation during the Great Depression. So there's a celebration here of the subjectivity in the arts, in particular with the photographs we're going to look at, human experiences. And the artist here, she's asking us to explore our inner feelings about what's going on here. So it promotes the idea of art as a subjective experience. Personal interpretation of the artwork is also very important here. So we can see a really strong celebration of the subjectivity in the arts, and its emphasis here on individual artistic expression. In this photograph, we can see some people sleeping in the street, some homeless people sleeping in the street, because they have no home, they've lost their home, haven't got a job, probably haven't got enough to eat. So we can see this really subjectivity coming through here. However, this is where we start seeing the objective elements in there. So Lange was very important to ensure that her work was objectively authentic and truthful. She uses subjectivity, but at the same time she wanted to be objective. So objective most commonly means they're not influenced by an individual's viewpoint. It is unbiased. This did actually happen. The people were sleeping in the street, the people were homeless, the people didn't have enough to eat. So this is really important for the artist, because it's actually giving us information about what the Depression was like in an unbiased way. Something that's truly objective has nothing to do with a person's own feelings or views. This did happen. These people were sleeping in the street. So then we start to see this grey area where we get this subjectivity and objectivity starting to interact with each other. Again, objective communication and universal understanding. Here, objectively, we're trying to say what it is to be a human being. A beautiful photograph here of a mother and child that were affected by the Great Depression. So by presenting these subjects in an objective manner, artists can communicate effectively cross-cultural, social and personal boundaries. Here is very much what it is to be a human. The love that a mother is showing to her child transcends all cultures. The artist is saying that this is an objective truth. Objective artworks can evoke a shared emotion, provoke thought, and stimulate dialogue, creating a common ground for human connection and understanding. So, again, we start to see this interaction between objectivity and subjectivity. Lange also wanted this to be a historical documentation of what is going on, so we get this idea of objective, historical, and cultural documentation. So here, objective art is serving as a valuable record of historical events, cultural practices, and social issues of what was going on during the time of the Great Depression. So by presenting subjects objectively, artists can see the preservation and documentation of a particular time, place, or culture. So, in this case, objective artwork can provide insights into the past, allowing future generations to understand and learn from the historical context. But again, what we see is we see this subjectivity coming through here. If you look at the art, these photographs in its entirety, most people will have a emotional reaction to it. She tried very hard. This is Lange herself. She tries very hard to be professional and to represent what was going on. So here we can see objectivity is often associated with professionalism and artistic integrity. Artists who strive to be objective demonstrate a clear commitment to their craft, seeking to present their subjects with accuracy and respect. So you can see here she was could be seen as being quite dedicated to objectivity, and that enhances the artist's reputation and credibility. It contributes to a broader appreciation and recognition of their work. But again, we will see the skill that she really had here was combining objectivity and subjectivity in her photographs. Digging down a little bit more, she specifically selected her subjects. So she had agency in choosing which individuals she would represent in her photographs, and the scenes as well. So in here we can see a specific selection that she made of a family in a specific context. So her selection of subjects would have been influenced by her own biases and perspectives or emotional responses. So again, we start to see objectively she chose this scene to look at, but her objective choices would have been influenced by her subjective biases. So this photograph here, the migrant mother, Lange chose to focus on the Florence Owen Thomas and her children. It's a really powerful image. She had skill in choosing that family, choosing the exact positions they are in. So again, we see this interaction between subjectivity and objectivity. If you start taking away the objectivity on this work, and there's no objectivity there, you really have to ask yourself the question: would it have been as good? So we go back to this question: subjectivity, is it overly celebrated? Does it downplay the importance of objectivity? Again, as well as selecting subjects, there's framing as well, framing composition. So here, Lange's framing and composition choices also introduce subjective elements into her photograph. The way she has positioned her subjects within the frame, the use of foreground and background elements, the cropping of the image, they all contribute to the storytelling and emotional impact. So this reinforces subjectivity, but also there is this objective skill to her actually doing this. Timing and moment as well. This photograph was taken very carefully at a particular time. There was skill in that. Look at the emotions in the mother's face. Look what the children were doing. So the timing capture of the photograph can introduce subjectivity, but there's an objective element to doing that, the skill of actually being able to do that. So Lange often waited for the right moment, capturing images that conveyed a particular emotion or narrative. The timing of the shutter release can influence the portrayal of the subject and the overall mood of the photograph. Lange's ability to capture decisive moments in her subjects adds a subjective layer to her work. She's using objective skills. Objectively, this is a fantastic piece photograph. She used timing, shutter speed, all of those skills. But again, we see this interaction between objectivity and subjectivity. Take one away, you've got take objectivity away, put too much emphasis on subjectivity, and we've really got to question whether or not her artwork, her photographs, would be the same quality. And finally, again, another skill that she had, um, the post processing and editing. It is a specific skill. Objectively, she had to learn that, but it helps us to subjectively understand what is going on. So, post processing and editing, any photographer will tell you that you have a large control over the development and editing of the photographs. We have often used, I'm sure, filters on the photographs that we take on our mobile devices. So, adjustments in contrast, exposure, tonal range, these are all objective skills, and they impact the visual representation, what's going on, and they give it extra emotional tone to the images. So, then these editing choices introduce a subjective element but using objective skills. The images were specifically manipulated to give her a new range of data, and that helps us to understand and interact with what's going on in the photograph at a subjective emotional level. So, the idea that we're starting to formulate here is, at least in photography, um, subjectivity is really important, but if we put too much emphasis on that, it's actually a little bit disrespectful perhaps to the photographer, because they did have objective skills in here. They did have things that they had to learn. It wasn't just all about emotions, it was actually about an objective set of skills that they had to put into place. So, again, if we over celebrate the subjectivity of it, say we say there are no skills here, there are no objective skills here, it is subjective. Is it really a piece of artwork? Without her objective skills, would she have been able to make such an important series of photographs to help us to try to understand at emotional level the Great Depression?